Hello and welcome. My name is Paul Burtzlaff
And I'm Deb Murray.
Now, do you know who Deb Murray is? I mean, Deb has written, 17 different recipe books, correct?
Correct,
books,
yeah.
17 different recipe books. She has worked with Wolfgang Puck, Suzanne Summers. You've worked with
Paula Deen.
Cooked with Paula Deen, and also worked behind the scenes with George Foreman. So she is a celebrity. A celebrity
food
stylist. What that really means is she does all the work, and they get all the credit for
oh,
it. So
that's
what it is.
Well, it's because they need to be looking pretty on TV, so I just can't get pretty down and dirty.
That's my goal here today, is just simply look pretty.
You'll be pretty, for sure. Yeah. Well, Pastor, I'm really honored. You know, Pastor's been my pastor for, 2 decades now? I mean, you've been there for me some of the toughest moments of my life. But the one thing we always laughed and talked about is we always wanted to do a cooking video together because we both love to cook and we both have a connection that food. Yeah. What you were telling me that I know why I want to cook. I want to share my love for that person through cooking. But cooking is also another connection.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do here is it's called the whole loaf. We call it the whole enchilada. And I guess the whole idea behind this is we want you to be strong, okay? We want you to be strong and healthy when it comes to eating and eating habits. We want you to be strong and healthy when it comes to your spiritual health, to your relationship health, to your emotional health. And so we're going to try to mix all of that together. So this is kind of a holistic kind of approach. We're going to cook some healthy meals, but we're also going to weave in some scripture and some sound counseling advice and guidance to build strong, healthy relationships.
I love it. And we're going to do one recipe tonight, but obviously you can leave something, you can subscribe, you can say what you'd like to see in the future for recipes. But the one we're starting with tonight was inspired by what we were talking about on the phone the day. We were talking about, I'm going to school to be a teacher. I care a lot about kids. And you were saying that there's some major problems in kids.
Yeah, I just read a study that was saying over 20% of American adolescents, that's 12 to 19 years of age, are overweight. They're not getting enough vegetables, they're not getting enough fruit. And they're eating way too many processed foods, they're eating way too unhealthy, and it's impacting them in all sorts of ways. It's impacting their educational health, it's impacting their physical health. And one of the things I want to focus on here today is relationship health as well.
Precisely. Yeah. And what we found is kids will actually try more food if they're actually cooking it. Because cooking can be fun when you're young. When it's hard when you're trying to put dinner on the table and you're working really hard. I get that. But when you're young and you're getting your hands a little messy, you're getting into it, and then the end result is something delicious. So we thought we'd do something kid-minded tonight. Because you and I were discussing one of the things that I think every human being loves is French fries, right?
Oh, yeah.
I love French fries. Everybody loves French fries.
I do, yeah.
10 million are sold a day.
That's exactly right. They're good.
They are
they're
outstanding.
Good. Yep.
You'll never hear me bash, but I battled weight most of my life. And when I found out that one little handful of those are 300 calories versus tonight we're going to make zucchini French fries, these will have about 45 calories for the same serving. There's a lot of water in it. There's nutrients in it. We're doing zucchini fries, but they could be eggplant fries. We could be our friend Jill's sweet potato fries. We could have asparagus fries. I mean, we want you to think outside of your French fry bag tonight.
All right, sounds good. It's kind of interesting too. In that same study that I read, it was kind of showing that when a child or when a friend, somebody helps cook with you, it's giving them guidance and direction on how to cook healthy food.
Right.
But even more than that, they're spending time together.
Precisely.
Okay, so you get to spend some quantity time, and when you spend quantity time together, it always leads to quality time. And so it's a great way to build relationships. So this is a great way to build relationships with your children. It's a great way to build relationships with a spouse or even with the grandchildren.
Exactly. Give everyone a job. Get it all involved. When I was a kid growing up, Pastor, my grandmother was an amazing cook. But we lived up in New England, very remote area, and she made everything from scratch. And it wasn't because she was doing it because it was very cachet. I mean, it was basic essentials. We all had jobs. And I learned some amazing things because we all had to participate. Maybe nowadays you don't have to, but maybe you should. Maybe you should give everyone a task, put the cell phones down, only use the cell phones for the photographs.
Yeah.
Or
look up the recipe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And spend more time being present. So tonight I'm going to give Pastor some jobs. I'm going to do some little plugs because of course I've sold products for years. One of the products I loved was a mandolin. Why a mandolin? It's I love it. I love it. Well, one of the most important things that a lot of us overlook when we're learning to cook is if somebody offers you to cut up mushrooms and you're just doing it really fast, one mushroom, if it's bigger than the other, what will happen, Pastor, is one will get overcooked and one will get undercooked. Same with like potatoes. So when someone asks you to cut zucchini, like for instance this, I want you to cut matchstick potatoes, zucchini. You can do it using a knife and take your time. You know, try to cut them all the same thickness and, you know, don't rush through the process. You know, try to get them uniform. When they're uniform, they'll all cook evenly and then you won't have one being soggy and one being burnt. You're doing very good. I didn't know you had such great knife skills at all.
My mom said I'd never amount to anything.
Well, she was wrong. No, very, very good. Do you and Suzanne and the girls cook together?
Suzanne and I do. My girls are older. They've moved out of the house at this point in time.
My daughter used to babysit your daughter.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh my goodness. Her grandkids are going to be growing up together. All right, so after you cut your zucchini, the next thing we want to do, Paul, is pastors, these are wet on the outside. Zucchini's full of water. That's why it's so good for us. So I'm going to take the zucchini. If I were to go right, or I'm going to have you do it. If I were going to go right into the egg, which is something you would think that would be what you would do and then go into the coating, I want you to go into something that's going to absorb the water. So I'm going to have you toss the zucchini in the flour. Now that could be cornstarch if you're eating keto, that could be coconut flour. But what we want to do is we're trying to get the residual moisture off the zucchini. Now you're going to toss it in the egg. The egg being wet will now stick to the zucchini, and now we can put it into the panko. Panko is made from rice bread, so it doesn't have as much, insulin rise. It's crunchier, and I put a little Parmesan cheese in there. So wait till you taste
See,
it.
I did not know this. Whenever I cooked, I used to dip it right into the egg and then into the flour. So I did not know that.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense.
And if you were deep frying, that would mean without doing the flour first, a lot of times the coating would slide off and the person would think, what am I doing wrong? And it's just that one little thing, get the residual moisture off your food.
So you can go like from flour to egg back to flour then
Correct.
too as well. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't have, and it could be, if you're someone who's not eating gluten, you could use ground up pork rinds. You could just use Parmesan cheese. I mean, there's so many gluten-free alternatives in the grocery store. Some of the gluten-free flours are out of this world. So, if you have certain food allergies or food sensitivities, cooking is not only fantastic for bonding, but it's a great way to make sure you're eating the foods that won't hurt you.
Exactly. Very good. It's like too, it's stuff like this I've never done this before. So like Deb and I have never cooked before. I would have never thought of doing this, in all honesty.
I love that.
And so I would have went to McDonald's, but I would have never thought of doing this. And so it's actually like, it's fun. You're having a good time. You're learning a new skill. I'm learning stuff about, vegetable moisture and that kind of stuff, which I never knew. But like once again, you're learning skills, you're learning information, and it's giving an opportunity just for the two of you to talk, or for who's ever in the kitchen to talk, and creates those talking points.
Exactly.
So you can start talking about food, but you can very quickly change that conversation from food into, hey, how was your day going today? Or what's going on with school, or what's going on with your friends, or what happened at work that day.
Exactly.
So it provides just a great opportunity for you to get together and actually delve in and to grow a relationship.
Delve into Word. And that's one of the things I've always gone to you for the last 20 years, is for my spiritual health. I'm teaching you cooking health.
See?
He's helped my spiritual health all these years.
It's the whole loaf here. We're doing everything. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like one of the, as we were getting ready for this, one of the Bible verses that just jumped out at me is in John chapter 15, where Jesus is talking, and Jesus said, "Love one another as I have loved you." And do you ever really think about that verse, what that means? He calls us to love each other. And when Jesus talks about love, he's not just talking about ooey gooey emotional kind of love. In the Bible, love is a verb. Love is an action. Love is something that you do. And he did. He loved us emotionally, but he loved us unconditionally. He gave his all for us. To die upon a cross, to pay the debt of our sin. And so when Jesus says that we're called to love each other, to love one another as he loved us, that means we should be willing to give our all for each other. And oftentimes, one of the ways, especially in our culture, we are so busy. One of the ways in our culture that you can spell love is time, right? It's just simply
Excellent.
spending time with people. And so once again, just a great opportunity for you to spend some time with family members, with the people that you love.
And right now, with what all that's going on in the world, sometimes it's a little hard to find the right groceries in the grocery store. You're stuck. You know, what we're thinking about is if we're watching these videos, maybe we can learn to cook whatever's available in the grocery.
Yeah.
Maybe this stuff in the grocery, maybe you're used to cooking with hamburger, and hamburger's now $7 a pound. So what do? We can make vegetable burgers. I mean, when my grandmother was growing up and when she was preparing for us, they had to cook what was in season. So maybe this is some of the things that you can learn from this is spiritual growth. You'll learn, good thought process, but also how to think outside of the normal grocery routine, the normal cooking routine.
Exactly.
Expand yourself.
Yeah. And you're eating healthier. It's kind of interesting. Adolescents report like when they cook with their parents or when they cook with a grandparent and they get to spend that quality time together, they report having better relationships. And better relationships translates into better decision making.
Right.
Better relationships translates into a better school and academic performance.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, and it was kind of interesting too because it went on. That study went on to say that people that they eat healthy and they spend time together, they cook together. You know what? They've got more energy. They've got a more positive outlook in the world and what's going on, and they want to be more active. They want to be more actively involved.
I agree 100,000 times of what you're saying. And it's so important. I think myself, I'll have a tendency, I can get lost in my phone sometime. And technology is wonderful, but it can cause us to disconnect. So maybe schedule that time together. Like maybe that's it. Whatever you're going to do up until say 4 or 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock or whatever it is, maybe it's everyone just food prep all week on Sunday. You're prepping for the whole week. You're doing your meal planning, maybe planning your hot lunches, but work out a scheduled time when all of you take hold of the meal, prep it together, eat it together.
Yeah.
Families that eat together, stay
together. That's right. And those relationships are built stronger and stronger. Plus, then at that point too, I'm just sitting back thinking, you get to share what it is that's important to you. With so much going on in our world, once again, you get to share, your values. You get to pass on what is truly important, what you believe, and why you believe it. So, all kinds of benefits to cooking together.
I agree.
Huh?
I agree. Now, and you get the end result, great food, and you're controlling your calories.
Yeah.
So what we've done right now is Pastor has, I don't know if you want to wash your hands now, but Pastor dipped the zucchini after he cut them, dipped them in the zucchini, then we dipped them in beaten eggs with water. We'll post the recipe for you. We rolled it in panko and Parmesan cheese. We placed it on parchment paper. Now, Pastor said, he wouldn't necessarily go out and buy parchment paper. I'm a little lazier. I try to not have to do dishes, so this will allow me to not have to wash this pan, but you can just spray nonstick on it. So now instead of deep frying these, Pastor, we're going to spray them with oil. If you spray something with oil before it goes into the oven, it promotes browning, and it'll also cause it to crisp more. And so we're going to get more of a deep fried flavor without adding the deep fried calories. So I'm going to pop these in a 400-degree oven. I've got some ready for you to try, see what you think.
In all honesty, I've already been picking at them. So when they came out of the oven, I dipped into them immediately. They are absolutely fantastic. I mean, they really and truly are.
Aren't they crunchy?
I won't lie to you. They're country. They're crunchy, and they're good. I mean, they really and truly are good.
Aren't they good? Well, I think people don't realize when you think about food, it's the texture that we want.
Yeah.
We want it soft on the inside, crunchy and salty on the outside. And instead of putting it in ketchup like we would with French fries, we've got a no sugar marinara that I bought in the grocery store. So we're saving sugar, we're saving fat calories. We've spent quality time with our family and friends. It's less money, it's better for the planet, and you know what? These reheat really well. So these could be a great snack that you put in the refrigerator and pull out later on.
And they really and truly are good. When she first told me that we were gonna cook zucchini fries, I kind of thought to myself, I'm not sure about it. But they really and truly are good. So we just want to encourage you. You know what? Go ahead and spend some time with your family. Give this a shot. We will put the recipe up for you. Give it a shot. You're going to be blessed. All right? You have a great day. God bless and live well.